Hey guys, it's Tia, welcome to the video. So a question I get asked is how to get consistent sales or daily sales with print on demand. This is usually from people who have made a couple sales here and there, but can't seem to keep them regular. So if this applies to you, then this is the video you need. I'm making passive income every day with my print on demand stores on Redbubble, Etsy, and TeePublic. And today I'll be sharing 3 tips, which I haven't mentioned before on my channel, that I think were really important in getting to this point. This is not going to be going into depth about SEO or niches, which obviously really important, but I'm sure you've heard enough about those already. If you're not familiar with those concepts, I have a lot of videos on my channel about that, so you can go take a look at those. These are going to be 3 valuable and unique strategies which I personally use, and I think these will actually change the way a lot of you approach print on demand. In my opinion, the last tip is the most helpful, and if there was only one tip I could give, it would be that last one. So make sure you watch till the end to see what that is. Drop a like if you find this video helpful, subscribe, and turn on the notifications bell so you get notified when I upload future videos. And let's get started. Tip number 1 is something I call the second bestseller rule. This is just an arbitrary term I've made up. It's not like a legit business term or something, but it pretty much sums up the way I approach balancing quality versus quantity when it comes to designing. Now, when I first started designing, I would only get maybe around 2 unique designs done in a day because, well, firstly, I wasn't as efficient at designing, but also I would get too perfectionist. So creating this ideal design that I saw in my head, which negatively impacted my productivity. And that's because to make money, I don't need to make a design that detailed, and my time would have been better spent creating and uploading more designs. But I still have to make sure I'm not throwing out complete garbage and set like a minimum threshold for quality at least. So obviously I realized this later and changed how I went about designing. At the peak of when I was uploading, I could get around 10 unique designs done in a day, and with variations, I could make 30 to 40 uploads every single day. So we all know print on demand is, to an extent, a numbers game. The more you upload, the more content you have on these marketplaces and the higher chance of it being seen by customers. The more keywords you'll cover, the more traffic that comes your way, the more data you get, essentially the more online real estate you own. This is just statistics. Obviously, no designs equals no sales. Maybe less slightly, obviously, if no one sees your design, then no one buys your design, which is where, you know, the SEO and keyword stuff comes in. But then you have the conversion side. So if you have like 1 million listings, but they're all pretty much low quality spam, then sure, you might get a few sales, but it's not going to be worth the energy it takes to upload all those listings. Back to the flip side, if you have 1 or 2 really good designs that end up selling well, but those take you ages to make and you're not able to get out enough designs, it's going to be difficult to make consistent income. There are exceptions, so on the lucky occasion, you might get a design that didn't take very long to make but sells well. It's happened to me a couple times and it's almost annoying because I'm like, well, I just spent an hour on a design that didn't sell and you're telling me that something I made in 5 minutes is now my bestseller. What is going on? That does happen. So how can we possibly get a sense of consistency? How do you know how much time and effort you should spend on a particular design? Well, the way I dealt with this is by using the second bestseller rule. Basically, for whatever keyword I'm designing for, I search for that, I look for the second bestseller, and I try to make sure my design is better than that one. It's like a minimum quality threshold I set for myself every design. Why not the number 1 bestseller? Well, sometimes they're just too good and you don't need to design that well just to make money. You can if you want, obviously, and you have the skills, but as I mentioned, it's about using the time you have to design efficiently. As a full-time student, I don't have hours and hours every day to do this, and I'm sure anyone in my audience who has a life outside of POD, so basically all of you, can relate to this. So as a general rule of thumb, as I just said, I try to make sure my design is better than the second result that comes up when I search the keyword and sort by best selling, or you know, if your platform doesn't let you, then the second result in search will suffice. It's just a way of thinking about it, really, to make sure I don't spend too long on any one design, but also have a quality threshold. Like before applying this rule, when I didn't have any sort of quality threshold, I was literally spending like half an hour just trying to get like a word to align exactly with this shape and getting everything pixel perfect, but that's just completely unnecessary. Like, you're not doing a professional graphic design job for a client. It's just a print on demand design you're throwing out and hoping it hooks some customer somewhere. Obviously, better is a subjective word, but the way I think about it is if I were a customer who was passionate about this niche, would I buy my design or the second best design? And hopefully the answer is mine. I try to make that the case anyway. Sometimes the second best seller or even the best seller is not even that good, in which case I know I don't have to spend too much time on the design either. For the more specific trends and keywords, the designs usually aren't that good, especially on places like Redbubble, and I'm pretty confident I have the skills to make a design that's better than even the first result. But if it's a more competitive niche and the second best design is very professional, in which case the whole, page one will probably be really good designs, then I will consider it. I'll either put more effort into my design if I think it's worth it, or just move on to a keyword that doesn't have a lot of really professional designs. Now, I just mentioned I can make at most 10 unique designs in one day before I either sort of run out of time or get too bored to make any more. But how is it then that I can upload up to 40 designs a day? Well, this is where tip number 2 comes in, which is variations. Now, you might have heard this tip before, but I think the way I do it is pretty efficient. The point of variations is to not only offer the customer more choice, but most importantly, I think, to cover more ground in your keyword. What I mean by this is if a customer searches a particular keyword and there's 100 results and only one of these results is your design, then they're less likely to come across one of yours. But if 5 of those designs are yours, then as they scroll, they're much more likely just to see one of your designs. You've multiplied your chance of making money in that keyword from 1% to 5%, right? But you can't just upload the same design 5 times. That's against the terms of service for most platforms, and it's just spammy, if someone comes to your shop. So that's where the variations come in, and you should be aiming to spend minimal time on these. Getting into specifics, most of my designs are text-based or monochrome. They might have a splash of color and some graphics here and there, but the majority of the design is one color. These are just some examples I've shown in previous videos, not actual designs that I'm selling. So I always do a white version and a black version for black and white t-shirts respectively. Because I also sell stickers, I make sure the white version has a black outline. Then the other variations are just different colors, or I switch some of the graphics around, I add a bit more text, whatever I think is appropriate for that design. As I said, it shouldn't take too long to make these variations at all. For me, it's not a whole redesign, it's just very small adjustments that can take less than 2 minutes each. For shirts, the white version, so the one designed for a black shirt is usually the better selling product, but that's also offset by sticker sales from the black version. So pretty much balances out. Occasionally a different color sells well, but that's the general pattern I've seen anyway. How many variations do you make for one niche or one set of keywords? When I'm testing keywords, I don't tend to make more than 5 in one day for one niche. After that, you might as well just spend your time covering a different set of keywords instead of trying to saturate this single niche. It's basically like don't put all your eggs in one basket, but with your time. Or in the case of websites with an upload limit like Redbubble, you're allocated upload slots every day, right? So if designs in a particular niche start selling, then I can upload more designs with that keyword. But until that happens and I find what sells for me, I want to be trying to cover a wider range of keywords. Some print-on-demand platforms might not like you uploading too many variations. They might flag it as spam. Personally, I've never had issues with that, but some people in the comments have. So every time I upload a variation, I duplicate that listing, if that's an option on the website, and then change the keyword order in my titles and tags so it's not the exact same listing. Also, if a keyword has less results, I tend to design more variations for that keyword. Now, my logic for this is that say I get very lucky and I find an in-demand keyword with like 20 designs. If I upload 5 designs, then I'm taking up 5 out of 25 of the search results. So that's a fifth of the market. So for anyone that searches that keyword, that's a pretty big chance of getting a sale, provided my designs aren't trash, which comparatively at least they won't be because I'm following that second best seller rule. But if a keyword has like 500 results, then I'll probably just stick to uploading 2 variations and move on, because I'm not going to saturate that keyword anyway. So I'm just trying to sort of cover that niche and get lucky, if that makes any sense. Now on to tip number 3, which I have a feeling is going to solve a lot of problems and answer a lot of questions for some people. I've been asked how I built and maintain a lot of online stores. I have 9 Redbubble shops, 3 Etsy shops, a TeePublic shop, and 1 Shopify store. Even though they're mostly passive income, I still have to keep track of what's going on, especially when it comes to doing taxes. So with that said, I'm going to show you exactly how I manage 14 online stores and how you can do it too with a free downloadable template. I made it myself, and this this is the exact spreadsheet I use. But before we get onto that, just some general advice. Firstly, when you're building up multiple shops, start them one by one. Please don't try and start more than one shop on any one day. For reference, I started one account on Redbubble. Once I started making money there, I moved to Etsy but continued to upload to Redbubble. Then when I started seeing sales on Etsy, I decided to try out TeePublic, uploading pretty much the same designs across all three platforms. Around then I started the YouTube channel, and then that was when I started more Redbubble stores, and then the website, and then my digital product stores, etc. So a lot of accounts and shops, right? But it's all a one-by-one progression. I didn't open a Redbubble, Etsy, and TeePublic store and then try and upload to all of them on day one. Absolutely not. In fact, I usually stick to one platform per day, YouTube included. Right now, I'm actually fairly happy with the passive income that print on demand is generating me, which took a year and a bit of just straight up grinding on these accounts to build up. During that time, I tried to upload no matter what. If I had exams the next day, if I was hungover, don't care, have to upload. Now I built up those passive income streams. Hopefully I have that for life, and I don't have to look at them too much anymore, except for the accounting, which I'm about to get onto, and some occasional maintenance, customer messages, that kind of stuff, which is why I'm now focusing on digital products and YouTube. This brings me on to the second point, which is that yes, print on demand is great for passive income, but I don't think it's really a solution to just keep uploading to these websites until the day I die, because number one, it's boring as heck, and number two, we all know these websites aren't safe and could suspend you out the blue. The companies themselves are not perfect and could have issues in the future, so relying on them as a huge income source isn't great. So I think once you get to either a certain number of uploads or amount of profit per month, which you can decide on based on your own financial goals, you should just move on and find something else. And number three, pretty much the same point actually, it's better to have multiple income streams. Now, because I keep posting about everything I do on this channel, it might seem like I upload to every platform every single day, but that is definitely not the case. Take it one by one, and that is my general advice to you for print on demand. Now onto the main tip, the third tip, which is that I use Notion, which is a free application you can download online to organize pretty much all my online side hustles. It's not the best for everything, especially if you're doing anything with images. You're probably better off just using Excel or Google Docs, something like that in my opinion. But one thing it's really good for is making tables and sorting the information in order. So the first page I'll make is a general keywords table. To make a table, you type /inline table, and you can change the heading properties depending on what's in that column. So for every niche I research, I enter the results in this table. Some of you might recognize this table from my Redbubble niches tutorial. In that table, I had the intellectual property and tag spamming as tick box columns. But when I'm actually researching, I don't have those, to be honest. I mean, if I see that something's obviously not suitable to design for because it has too many tag spammers, or it's trademarked or some other kind of issue, then I just leave it out the table. Pretty simple. But if you want to have those columns, then feel free to add them. And I'll have a corresponding folder with my designs, and each design will be named the word in the keyword column. If there's variations, then it will have a 2 or 3 or 4 after it, obviously. Then I have the date of when I found the keyword, the title of the listing, the tags, number of results on Redbubble and Etsy. I don't really bother doing any research for TeePublic. I just upload whatever I upload to those two sites. I base my research mainly off of Redbubble and Etsy, sometimes Amazon, and then I note which product is popular in the results of this keyword. Now here's where the magic happens. For whichever platform I'm uploading to, I click on the heading, click on sort by ascending, and whichever keyword appears at the top of the list is the one I designed for first. If I'm uploading like 40 designs for the day, I'll usually split it 50-50, so 20 designs and keywords that are already selling well, and 20 designs in new niches and keywords that I find and want to test out using this method. If you want to see me actually do this for some trending keywords on Redbubble, then you can watch my niche research tutorial, which I'll link in the eye. Now I also make a page for each shop for accounting purposes. This makes things very simple when it comes to doing taxes. So firstly, I have basic information including the shop name and the email it's attached to, and if I have outstanding customer messages, I make a note to deal with that here. Costs include things like paid tools, inventory, fulfillment. For websites like Redbubble and TeePublic, things are obviously easier easier because you get directly paid your profit, but for Etsy or Shopify or your own website, they'll pay your revenue and you get the cost from your print provider. Now, I can't say I religiously fill this in every time I get a payment, but I do try to keep it up to date. In the notes section, I just keep track of my best-selling designs and any other random thoughts or tasks that I think of. Then I copy this table for every shop that I have, and it just makes things really easy to see at a glance. The final way you can use Notion is comparing different print providers. I actually don't do this because I get discounts with Printful, so I stick with them for the most part. But if you're interested in how you can do this, then you can watch my video choosing a print provider. I'll link it up in the eye. So to summarize, I think we've covered a lot of ground in this video. Second bestseller rule, variations, not putting your eggs in one basket, taking things one by one when it comes to multiple platforms and shops, and Notion templates. So those are 3 hacks and 5 tips really that I use for my print-on-demand stores that you'll probably find useful as well. For beginners who are not getting the sales they want, try putting these tips into action along with doing your research in SEO, and you should start seeing results. Now make sure you watch this video about 3 print-on-demand mistakes you should avoid at all costs. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.